That's a very clever thing that I think a lot of writers should learn. So you took the time to read their profile, check out their website, and then figure out how you can help them. And you proved it by maybe doing the task and then sending it over to them without them knowing it. Or how did you do that?
Usually I replied, like I said, something in my message, I found a little bit of content on your website. You might want to try getting that spell checked. Not even necessarily doing it for them or
Yeah,
saying I would do it for them, just letting them know that, hey, you've got an issue here. You might want to fix it. And that kind of let them know that I was paying attention. I was up on, I knew my job, and they could trust me to look for stuff that they weren't even looking for, basically.
that's a really big gold. That's it's good gold there because what we often tend to do is we are very much aware of what other people are doing wrong, but we don't have the foresight to see what other people are doing wrong. So when you would do that, how would the conversations go? What happened afterwards?
Usually very well. When I replied like that with a positive message like that, I would always end it with, I'd love to set up a chat with you to talk about collaboration. Um, and usually I'd say 75% of the time they'd say, yes, let's get together and talk. So I would set up a meeting, a Zoom meeting or phone interview or something like that. After that, I just kind of, I told them my process. I always make sure to ask questions of my clients. I think it's important not only to get information from them, but to also make sure you're getting, you're giving them information as well. Not only am I telling them how I work, but I want to know how they work and what sort of person they are. You always want to know if you're going to be compatible. And you want to know too, if they're going to have, like if it's a memoir, if they're going to have trouble during a chapter that's very emotional. It helps to know that ahead of time. So just talking to your clients and getting that kind of back and forth rapport, asking questions, getting answers, and then, wash, rinse, repeat, basically.
Okay. Now, when you started doing this and you asked these questions to get a rapport, what lessons did you learn from that process?
I learned, first off, I learned that not everyone you talk to is going to be a client. And I learned that a long time ago, starting off at JCPenney's lingerie counter. It takes at least 10 conversations to get one client, sometimes more. But every single client you get after those conversations is going to be that much more profitable, that much more productive, and they are going to be a solid customer that you can actually get a referral from after the fact. It's not just going to be a come and go, because you're taking the time to get to know these people, and they are more willing to put their trust in you at that point.
Mm. That's a good lesson because you're spending more time with them. The more time they spend with you, the more likely they are to spend money with you because they are already spending their time, which is an important asset. Now, you mentioned that you learned that wasn't everyone that you would speak with that would end up becoming a customer. Do you have any horror stories to share of people who didn't turn out very well?
A few. I have a couple of cases where I've been harassed because I am female. A couple of more who were just real flaky. I had one guy that talked to me for nearly a month. Then he came to me one day out of the blue and said, well, I can't work with you until I sell my house. So, okay. People are just, they have their own things, and you have to learn to, take everything with a grain of salt. That guy that, he might sell his house tomorrow and come back. I never know. So as long as you keep, I don't want to say an open mind, but more of an open heart. Don't, write anybody off right away unless they are rude or degrading in some way. not a single one of the people I've talked to, I think, would say I was, not willing to work with them. It's just not the right time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the impression I want to give everyone I leave with, even if we don't work together now, maybe sometime in the future.
Yep. Maybe it will be a good fit later, because like you say, for some, it's not that they're not necessarily interested. It's just that the docs
Right.
need to be more in the role before they can proceed with you. You mentioned that you were dealing with clients who might be flaky, that might change their mind. Were there any particular type of flakiness that you observed, that certain people were more
Um,
flaky than others, or?
well, I can give a very recent example. Just last week, I had a guy that flaked out of me 3 different times for an interview, and usually I won't go past the second interview.
Mm,
Um, he didn't show up on me for the discovery call. He didn't show up on me for the next appointment, and the next appointment after that, when I went and scheduled with him, he didn't call me. So I wrote him off. And just yesterday, he called me back out of the blue and said, I really need to talk to you. Do you have time right now? Fortunately, I did. And he wants to look at a contract next week. So,
mm.
even those flaky ones, if you treat them with respect and kindness, you never know how it's going to work out. It can really come back and be a beautiful thing.
Okay. So if we go now back to when you started to have these conversations, can you tell us a little bit of how you managed to land your first deal?
I created a system. Basically, I am a writer. I'm not a speaker. So when I have to speak to someone, I like to kind of have a script, not necessarily completely scripted, but at least a couple of points.
Hmm.
So I would make a list of questions I had for that client. How do you think a book can help you? Or have you ever worked with a ghostwriter before? I would tell them my process. I would give them information about, the ghostwriting experience, and ask them what they expected from me. Because without knowing that, it's really hard to please a client.
Yeah, being clear on the expectations so that they know
Exactly.
what they can expect from you. And how did you then end up with the first clients? What was the story behind that? The first person you signed on?
The first person I signed on was Gary. His contract will end in December. So I just did I did my script. I did my discovery calls. I messaged him back when he wrote me that he was interested in hiring a ghostwriter. I did my little scripted questions. I made sure to give him all the information I possibly could. And it was like falling into it. At the end of the process, if they're going to say yes, it's almost kind of like you're waiting for that negative, and they say yes, and you're like, but oh, you said yes. Okay, let me send you the contract. So it was really a lot easier than I thought it would be when the customer finally said yes. And it was, like I said, I almost fell into it. It was so simple of a process. Sent him the contract, he signed it, and then we went to work.
Okay. Did you go over that contract with them before?
Yes, I had a Zoom meeting. Our third meeting was a Zoom call, and I screen shared with him and went over the entire contract with him. Excuse me. He asked questions. I went over all the little points that he wanted to know about. We even changed one or two things, minor things, but he was very happy with what I had there. Although he knew as well if that he wanted something major changed, I was willing to work with him on that as well. So it was just a very open process, a very give and take. And by the end of it, he signed the contract and sent it to me.
Can I ask how much you earned in that one contract?
That was 20,000.
$20,000. So in the year before, you made
5.
5,000. And how
Sorry
many?
for my life.
That's okay. I can deal with that. So you made 20 grand, and how many months are we in now? Is this 2, 3, 4, 5 months?
I am in my 6th month with that client.
Yeah,
I signed a 9-month contract with him, so we're almost done.
yeah.
In the meantime, I have 2 more clients I'm working with. One is actually a book, and the other one is a year's worth of blog posts, which is a completely different experience. I'm having a lot of fun with that. And I signed a contract today to do an article for a man.
Okay. So how long did it take you to go from having conversations on LinkedIn to you close that first person?
I closed him in March. So it took probably 3 months before I got my first paid contract.
Hmm.
But before that, I did sign another contract with a man named Chuck, who instead of I chose to do pro bono work because I believed in his cause. He runs a nonprofit organization for abused children and their families. And rather than my payment, he gave me part of his company. So I really don't feel like I got the short end of the stick on that one.
Okay.
We don't have a timeline, obviously, on this contract. I'm still working with him, and I work in other functions with the company, with the business itself. But aside from him, like I said, I signed another contract today, and hope to sign another one next week.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Well, I'm then curious. After you signed that one main contract, the first one, what happened after that?
I celebrated.